Hello, heroes and villains. Welcome to Multiverse. Today we will have the cosmic Spider-Man fighting the evil Red Death. Also, at the end of the video, I'll take a look at our friend Spider-Man. Also, at a cool Hobgoblin look that we can take, that we can recreate, and also I will show how I recreated the cosmic Spider-Man within the context of DC Universe Online. It's not exactly it, but it's within the context of DC Universe Online. It's pretty darn close to recreating the Cosmic Spider-Man that we had in the comics at some point. So, enough stalling, let's get this party started. I haven't made one of those videos in a while, and this is probably the last time that I'm going to be able to get source marks from this mission. So, because I'm just on the verge of basically you can get source marks up to combat rating 296, and pretty soon I'll be above that. So this is probably the last time I'll be able to get source marks from playing this mission. And it had been a while since I played this mission with the character. Also, I'm going to try to kill two birds with one stone. I'm going to try to show off one of the artifacts I got not too long ago. Although I didn't quite raise it to 200 just yet. I'm about 130 something. But we'll take a look at that also.
This weird weather has brought out the worst in Central City's criminals. Strangely, weather wizards nowhere in sight. They're robbing banks, stores, you name it. The police could use a hand. Even the city's speedsters can't be in two places at once.
So you guys recognize the central city with the red skies? It's a pretty cool looking map. So as I was saying, another thing that I want to be able to show with this character is one of my artifacts. It's the bird of BOP comlink. The reason why I want to show it is that basically what it does, you can see on my loadout, there's that little bird with the red circle. It comes from that artifact. Some of you guys at some point were asking if I had a new trinket. It wasn't a new trinket, it's actually the new artifact. The new artifact allows us to be able to have, with this one ability, if I raise the artifact to combat rating to rank 80, you can see the comlink reduces target's defense, reduces target's healing ability. But also, if I raise the artifact to rank 160, it also reduces damage. Basically, this artifact was made so that usually with controllers, you need, let's say, one ability to be able to reduce target's defense, one ability to be able to reduce target's healing ability, and then a third ability to be able to reduce the target's damage. Here, you can do that with one single ability. Once you raise the combat rating of once you raise the rank of the artifact to 160. So you can have basically all your 3D buffs within one ability. So that leaves all your other abilities to be able to have other abilities. I guess it would be very useful or convenient for a character or for a player who wants to be able to play a combat controller. Although it would work well as well enough with a simple controller as well. Also, people often ask, what is better, DPS or controller? Depends what you want to do. Here I'm going to play this mission with a controller role. For a long time with my Magneto character,
Shots fired. Send back up.
I actually would play as a controller. I wouldn't switch to DPS. There were maybe a few exceptions where I had to at some point, but as a rule of thumb, I would play most of my missions as a controller, and I was doing fine. Also, usually I would play those missions solo. So it didn't matter if I played as a controller or not. And very often when I would play missions, especially duos, playing as a controller often allowed me to be able to keep the DPS alive.
Police.
A lot of players in duos don't want to play with controllers or tank. They want to play with other DPSs. But as a controller, very often, thanks to the various shields I had, I was able to give a bit of extra survivability to my DPS partners in various duos.
That looks like a dead drop. Confiscate the package and I'll call in law enforcement to secure it.
Nowadays, I usually play as a DPS, but even when I play as a DPS, I have controller gear. I reassign my skill points to be able to play DPS. But overall, I'm pretty much playing
Shots
DPS
fired.
in
Send
controller
backup.
gear whenever I play in duos
Police
or even in
officer.
4-player missions. In 8-player missions, usually I'll play as a controller. But once in a while, people will ask me to switch to DPS, so I'll do that. But again, whenever I do that as I do that using controller gear, basically. Controller gear, controller mods, controller augments, because these are my more powerful gear or my more powerful augments. So basically with this one ability, I'm able to apply, at this point, I'm able to apply 2 debuffs. If we go back to our little artifact, I should probably make a video specifically about this artifact. I'll try to do that, well, but I'm gonna have to upgrade it a bit more. So right now I'm at rank 136, so I'm still pretty far from rank 160. Let's see if I have a few more ant metal. So I did not even reach rank 140 just yet. Ideally, I want to be able to reach at least rank 160 to be able to get all the debuffs. But ultimately, obviously, I'm going to try to upgrade the artifact to rank 200.
Shots fired. Send backup.
So as you can see, I've applied 2 debuffs at once on those little guys, and then the third debuff I have is this one here. Sadly, there is also the. I'll try to use it by itself on the next group. There's also another debuff that I end up using, but it's not so much for the debuffs as for the supercharge ability. And there we go.
Shots fired.
So here you can see I'm applying the healing debuffs on those little guy when I use that ability.
Whatever that metal coating is, it's turned those officers against you. I've never seen anything like it.
So I'm going to try to defeat those guys first, and then I'll talk a bit more after. So if I go back to my loadout, so the debuff here that I'm using is Anomaly. Sadly, it's a healing debuff, which I'm already applying whenever I use my Bird Blitz. The problem is that if this is also the supercharged generator. If I want to keep on using the supercharged generator, that means that I'm gonna end up applying the healing debuff twice. It's sad, but that's how it goes. But it's not just the supercharged generator. It's a good crowd control ability as well. So even if I maximize my Bird's Blitz, and I don't really need to use debuffs anymore, I'll probably keep on using Anomaly just for the supercharged generator. I guess we'll have to wait and see for that. And for the damage, right now in the short term, for the damage debuff, I'm using Warp Barrage. But once I manage to upgrade the Bird Blitz to rank 160, I'm going to be able to use another ability than Warp Barrage if I want to. So basically with this loadout, I can buff my character a bit, and I can debuff the enemies. So it makes up a bit for not being in DPS role. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. You can play missions fine, even if you stay as a controller.
Weird. It looks like metal. Whatever it is, they're under its control.
But some players will not like it very much if you stay. If you play solo mission, well, solo mission doesn't matter because you're by yourself. But if you play duos, and even 4-player missions sometimes as a controller, some players won't be happy about that. They'll probably ask you to switch to DPS. In some cases, they'll realize it doesn't really matter. But sometimes some people will, let's say, throw a fit if you don't want to switch to DPS. It's sad, but it happens. In 4-player missions, not so dramatic. Sometimes you'll find groups where people actually play their roles.
Energy from the Flash Museum. They've got the actual cosmic treadmill locked away there. That's got to be tied to these Speed Force storms. Check it out.
In 8-player missions, it will depend. In 8-player missions, sometimes players don't mind so much if they have 1 controller. But if you end up in an 8-player mission and you have 2 controller, people might be a bit unhappy about that. So let's go fight our friend, the evil Mirror Master.
Looks like Mirror Master is under the influence of that weird metal. At least we know he's not behind this.
I'm going to use my Robin sidekicks because I love those sidekicks too much, or those backups too much. But obviously, Cosmic Spider-Man doesn't have Robin sidekicks or backups. Let's pull back a bit more. Oh, let's pull back a bit more. So ideally with this mission, you want to stay mobile. You don't want to stay in one place too long. Otherwise, you'll get creamed by one of the portal that opens, like you can see right here. I probably could use one of the barrels. Sadly, as you saw, I tried to stick around for the barrel, but then the portal started opening where my character was, so it wasn't a good idea. Now there's something slowing me down, not sure what. Doesn't matter, I can teleport out of there. We can even summon our sidekick, Lex Horse sidekick again.
The museum's got to have some answers. Watch your back in there.
So let's choose our loot.
Please! You've got to help!
Decisions. Let's go for the Exobite. I'm tempted to go for the ring. Maybe next time. So let's go inside the Flash Museum. And there we'll meet the evil Red Death for the first time. Sort of. There's a little console here that you can use if you want to skip the cinematics. If you activate the console, you won't see the cinematics. Personally, I kind of like those cinematics, so I don't use the console.
You found Flash, but something's not right.
Can't stop myself. Must obey.
In my world, I strapped the Flash to the hood of my Batmobile and drove into the Speed Force. Gaining his powers made me a better, deadlier Batman, but I still have his annoying voice stuck in my head. I'm going to enjoy watching another Flash squirm. Think you can keep up? Catch me if you can.
You've got to save Flash. I think the cosmic treadmill's been opening those weird portals.
So you heard Oracle, I've got to save Flash. So let us do it.
Fading fast.
Batman combined with the Flash, but evil? It's like a nightmare.
So let us continue.
Batman, he won't be as experienced with Flash's rogues. Go to the exhibits. We can build a device to help you fight him.
When you get... I'll do the long way around. Normally I would have showed you something you can do right now as opposed to waiting a bit later. But today, we'll wait a bit later because why not? So as you can see, Anomaly is a pretty good crowd control. But sadly, it makes us have a healing debuff twice in our loadout. I suspect that maybe at some point I'll decide not to use the supercharge generator anymore. I'm not sure about that just yet. I guess once I maximize the Bird of Prey artifact, I'll try to figure out maybe a better loadout. Also, it kind of works fairly well in combination with my other artifacts. Basically, as you can see, the 3 artifacts I'm using right now, the Amulet of Ra. Whenever I cast a control, my controller debuffs are stronger, and also they affect additional enemies than the one I'm targeting. So you can end up target. So whenever I use the Bird of Prey artifact, I'm pretty much targeting almost all the enemies in front of me. Obviously, if there's more than 7 enemies, won't really matter. And here I'm using, basically this is just an artifact that whenever I use a controller debuff, it gives to myself and the group power equal to a percentage of my vitalization and precision equal to a percentage of my vitalization. So again, whenever I use this little ability, so it does have multiple effects when I use it. Again, as you can see, the crowd control part of Anomaly, pretty useful. Obviously, I could replace it with another crowd control. Again, I'll have to experiment. Once I maximize my artifacts, I'll have to experiment a bit with my loadout. I'm sure I've mentioned it before. I'm a bit of a power spammer. I kind of like to spam my power abilities. Sometimes a little too much, but in this case, it doesn't really matter. I have more than enough power to be able to spam as much as I like. But there's nothing stopping me also from switching to using my weapons when I need to. And I have to admit, Pulse Beam, I love using that ability. For a long time, I was, I guess you could call a block breaker spammer. For a long time, a lot of players playing PvP, and even some enemies in the open world would spam block a lot. So very often, the best option you had, or all you really had to do, was block break, and you would block break your enemies, because they kept on blocking. So they were spamming block so much that all you had to do was spam block break, and you would be guaranteed to pretty much beat them up. So once we reach this part here, oh, actually we have to reach here.
Looks like the mechanisms on that door have shorted out. If you can find something nearby that's connected to the system, fixing it should open the door.
So once you reach this point, if you did not activate the old thingy earlier, you have to go back. Normally, when I make these videos, I activate it right away. But today, just to be able to show you, I did not do so. So basically, if you guys saw some of my previous videos with the Red Death, you probably saw that usually when I reach this point, I activate that little crate here. That's exactly why I do that. Usually when I reach this point, I activate the crate right away. That way I don't have to backtrack. It's not a big deal. It's like, I don't know, a minute. It takes you a minute extra to backtrack. But if somehow you want to be, let's say, uber efficient and you don't want to backtrack at all, then activate the crate as soon as you get next to it. And then once you reach this point, you can activate the little puzzle. Eons ago, I would think, I thought that the frames on the walls were a hint to let you know what needed to be done. Turns out that not at all. I think the hint is over here. So basically the hint is that the green portrait, which is sound, must not be next to the fire one. So obviously the green one cannot be here, so we're going to put it there, obviously. And then in the end, it's going to be just a matter of deciding where the ice and the... And then in the end, we just need to switch this one with this one. And there we go.
I've uploaded schematics. Pick one of the rogues' power types from the exhibits to give you an edge.
I usually take the fire one, but today I will take the ice one because why not? The blue kind of matches with the blue of the cosmic Spider-Man, so today we choose the blue, the ice one. The only issue I have maybe with the Bird of Prey artifact is that in the long run, we'll probably end up with a lot of controllers, if not almost every controller using that one ability here that you see right now. So it's gonna have a tendency to make all the controllers feel the same or play the same way, which technically you can already play most of the controllers pretty much the same way. Here you saw what happens when you pull too many enemies at once. As you saw, my supply drop does not heal me all that much. I know that there's a few artifacts that allow us to upgrade the strength of our supply drop. So I may decide to use artifacts that do upgrade the supply drop, or I may experiment with using something other than supply drop if it doesn't heal all that much anymore. So here we reach the evil Red Death. So let's get this party started. could have sworn he had some dialogues here. Oh well.
Your new toys aren't clever. I am Batman and Flash. I'll always be one step ahead of you.
Classic Batman. Don't let him get under your skin.
Let's hope the ice effect slow down our friend Red Death a bit. Sadly, as you can see, there's times where we cannot target our friend Red Death, and we can't seem to be able to affect the bombs, so we'll just have to wait out a bit. Sadly, we seem to have wasted the healing barrel over here. Doesn't matter, we'll use our cola. That's what it's there for.
I'm not out of this race yet. Come on.
I hate those. The evil flash banner.
I heal quick. I heal quick. Pain is a I'm not out of this race yet. Just a minor. Come on now.
Almost there. Stay on target.
Pain is a mirage. This has been fun, but I think it's time to vibrate your hearts out of your chests. No! Flash, get out of my head and stop singing that song!
Oh, Red Death. So disappointing. Welcome to the beginning of the end. We are going to have so much fun. And by we, I mean all the Dark Knights who are coming to your world.
This is a nightmare. I don't know what that thing was, but we've got to stop it. I'll confer with the Justice League and get back to you. I'll be on this 24/7. No way I'll be able to sleep after seeing that Batman who laughs.
So sadly, probably the last time we get source marks here. And let's see what's in the box. We got a little reward box. Like you can see, I already have a bunch of gear from the Birds of Prey DLC that I did not open, just to keep my combat rating low enough to still be able to get source marks from metal missions. Oh, we got a nice Dark Knight's metal variant cover. That's nice. Kind of like those covers. Decisions. So let's go for that. So let's go back to our lair. So how did I create our friend, the Cosmic Spider-Man, or the Captain Universe Spider-Man? Let's take a look. At first, I'm using the blue metallic chroma material. Sadly, at this point in time, the blue metallic chroma material, you can only get it from the broker. And the last few times I saw it on the broker, it was like 600 or 700 million. And it's pretty rare that we see it on the broker these days. So if you see it on the broker for like 700 million, and you can afford to buy it right away. Otherwise, you'll never see that material again. Or if you see it again, it'll be like $1 billion at some point. For the headpiece, I went with the half slimline headpiece. The face, I'm using the Avatar of Peace. For the shoulders, I went with the spin roof shoulders. It allows me to have a few extra dots with the little line tying them together. There's a whole bunch of those in the Captain Universe costume. Sadly here, I'm kind of able to fake it a bit with the spin roof shoulders, but ideally there should be a few more where the blue area of the costume is. But again, within the context of DC Universe Online, this is about as close as I was able to get. For the chest piece, the pyramid slimline did the trick. The gloves, I went with the Aeronaut gloves. I wish there was a pair of like skin-tight gloves like that was only one color. Sadly, we don't seem to have that just yet in DC Universe Online. Although, come to think of it, I have the blue metallic material that I can probably use. Oh yeah. So yeah, I would use a blue metallic material for the hands. For the pants, I'm using the reverse slimline, but any number of slimline pants will do the trick. And for the aura, I'm using the antimatter aura hands, which is not the same as the antimatter aura, as you can see. Somehow in the comics, he had some sort of pinkish energy around him sometimes, which kind of looks like the antimatter aura hands, so that's why I went with that. And for the skin, I went with the cosmic skin. Basically, the area around the mouth should be like the Spider-Man mask, but we don't really have anything that looks like that in the context of DC Universe Online. So I decided to go with the cosmic skin, since this is the cosmic Spider-Man after all. So as you can see, you can recreate a pretty cool looking cosmic Spider-Man within the context of DC Universe Online. And for the powers, basically I used my controller loadout. So I'm using a temporal extortion, which sadly the group power heal is a bit useless when you play by yourself, but it still gives you your weapon buff, so you will do a bit of extra damage with your weapons when you use that buff. The warp barrage is my damage debuff, but also it does a bit of damage as well. Event Horizon is the supercharge I go with. Basically, it's a group shield. It's also a group power heal. And again, Anomaly, it works well as a crowd control ability. Also, it's the supercharged generator. Sadly, it's a group, it's a healing debuff, which I don't really need thanks to the Bird's Blitz. So I'm going to have to experiment with whether I should still use the Anomaly or not. Quantum Tunneling, it's the shield that my character uses. And also, I love the teleporting ability. So I probably could use something else in Quantum Tunneling, but I kind of like to use it. And of course, the Bird's Blitz, which comes with the Bird of Prey artifact. So at this point, I'm past rank 80. The next rank to be able to get the damage debuff will be rank 160. If somehow you don't like the Cosmic Spider-Man, you could create a Iron Spider. But instead of using the blue metallic chroma, you need the red metallic chroma. But it's pretty much the same problem. The red metallic chroma is going to be very expensive on a broker, assuming that you can find it there at all. For the face piece, the Avatar of Peace is perfect to recreate a Spider-Man type character. The headpiece is a full slimline mask. The chest is the streak slimline chest piece. The tertiary slimline for the pants. Obviously, there's some white on the pants and on the chest that shouldn't be there, but with the materials, that's sadly a restriction that we have. The only way to be able to remove that is just to not to use the material. Without the material, you can still create a pretty darn good looking Spider-Man character. And of course, I'm using the spider emblem. If somehow the Avatar of Peace are too expensive or too difficult to get, you could settle with the Catwoman goggles if you want to. And when I got the Dark God headpiece not too long ago, I came to realize that, holy crap, we can make a pretty good looking Hobgoblin using that headpiece. Here I'm using the Deathstroke chest piece, the Dr. Fate gloves, the short cape, the New Genesis pants, the clasped belt. For the boots, I'm using the cuffed boots, but there might be some other boots you can use. If you don't have the Deathstroke chest piece, I guess one of the beach tank top would do the trick, but you would have to then put the skin blue and try to match it with the blue of the pants. But personally, I would be much tempted to use the Deathstroke chest piece. And of course, you have to use the Swarming Bat auras. You have to. And the pumpkins, you don't have to use them, but I thought it would be appropriate in this case. If you have any questions, feel free to ask so in the comment section down below, and I'll see what I can do about it, answering your questions. I have roughly 2,000 videos about this Universe Online at this point, so if I don't answer your question right away, just search in my videos. Odds are I already made a video that answers your question. And that's going to be pretty much it for now, guys. So as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.